Hello everyone, welcome to my refining tutorial, and in this video I will introduce you into what refining is and how you can make silver with it. And obviously making silver is a really important part of the game and it's quite fun if you ask me. I will also show you some steps that I took on my account. But before doing any of that, you might even ask yourself, what even is refining? And that is a really good question. So, refining is one of the three activities at the heart of this game, in my opinion, together with gathering and crafting. Because without gathering, which then turns into refining, which then turns into crafting, you would not have a single item in this game. So, refining. Refining involves converting raw resources that you can gather from the game world into refined materials that can be used as said for crafting weapons, armors, helmets, shoes, boots, whatever, honestly. So, where can I get these items that I will need for refining? There is two options. Either you go to the market in here, which I'm not there right now, but I'm pretty sure you know where the market is, and you just buy them straight up for the market, or you can gather. You can gather the materials, which is the other activity at the heart of this game. Where can I gather these resources? You can gather these resources in the zones outside the cities. For example, this tier 3 zones, tier 4, tier 5, tier 6, and obviously the higher you go into level, the more resources you get. But higher you go into level for a zone, you also run the risk into dying and losing everything you have in your inventory. So, for example, I clicked on a red zone, bow scale fell, that's around Martlock, and here it tells me on the top right what resources will be in this map. There will be wood, stone, and ore, all from tier 4 to tier 6. I can read the Roman numbers, yeah, that's tier 4, tier 6, and there will also be like a 16% chance of finding an enchanted resource. You can quite clearly see, I'll just zoom in on this. And this is for Martlock because each zone has its own resources. For example, this is Martlock, mountain area has those three. If you go around Thetford, you will find wood, hide, and flax. I'm not exactly sure how. Cotton, yes, my bad. And this goes on also for Fort Sterling, Lyndhurst, and Bridgewatch. But this is the Royal Continent, which is which consists of blue, yellow, and red zone. If we now go into the outskirts, the outside, you also have these black zones, which will have way more resources, but you also run the risk of dying. And it's the same thing. You can see this like sand area will have the same resources as Bridgewatch. You can see this mountain area, same resources as Martlock. This one, it's like Snowy Mountain, same resources as Fort Sterling. Also, for some reason, I can't say the word resources properly, so sorry about that. Now, we know where to find them, either buy them or gather them. What can we do with the resources? What we can do is take them to the tanner, and I will be mostly talking about the tanner because this will be a leather refining tutorial, even though it will work also with ore, cotton, which is fiber, yes, or fiber and wood. I will not be talking about stone because that's another area of refining which doesn't work the same as these ones, but maybe in the future I'll do one too. I also want to say we're at the tanner, so what you want to do is press the letter N on your map and you click on this. This is what a tanner looks like, and it will show you all the tanners in the city. And little advice, you should always go to the outskirts of the city because the taxes are always lower, because what people do is they buy these buildings and set higher taxes because people are just lazy to walk the extra 10 seconds for lower taxes. And what I mean by that is here it says usage fee per 100 edition is 390. While I'm here, I can also mention these numbers: crafting capacity, durability, and food supply. This is very important because, for example, there are different bonuses each day. For example, today's potion and stone, but when there's a height bonus, crafting capacity is always almost at 0 because everyone is just refining leather. So, to be able to refine, first of all, you need the resources that I have in my inventory. You need the crafting capacity, durability, and food supply to have something. Now, crafting capacity, as said, goes down the more people craft. Food supply also goes down the more people craft, and durability, I have absolutely no idea, but I've never seen it at 0, so we don't need to worry about that. So. Now, we know where to find them, we know where to buy them, and we know where to go. So, but we still don't know how to be able to unlock refining. So what we need to do is first we need to unlock the trainee crafter, which you can do by refining any tier 2 resource to gain fame, and this you will do in the tutorial, so you don't need to worry about this. But this is the next step. You will need to refine tier 2 resources for 240 points worth of fame. Now I'm not exactly sure how many it will be, but maybe if you just take 100, maybe it will be enough, maybe not. Oh yeah, one thing I forgot to mention is that each city, along having their own resources that are often shared between cities. For example, Thetford and Bridgewatch share hide. I can find it here, but I can also find it. I can also find it here. But what they do not share is the bonuses. What I mean about that is if you click on Martlock, it says here refining bonus 40%. It also says stone, but that is because of the daily bonus. You will not find this in your game, most likely. So, but what you will find is the 40% from hide. That means that Martlock has the hide bonus. Thetford has the ore bonus. And Fort Sterling has wood. Then Limhurst has the fiber bonus. We will not be talking about Bridgewatch because they have stone, as mentioned. What that means is, when I click here, it says resource return rate 36.7%. That meaning, if I put in 100 pieces of leather, for example, for tier 4 I need this and this, and if I put in 100, I will be given 36.7% back, and that is without focus. With focus, it is 53.9%, but this will only be in Martlock, because Martlock has the bonus. If you do this in Thetford, or if you do this in Fort Sterling, you will have lower numbers. So that's really important to think about what you want to refine in the first place, and as I found, it's best to just stick to one item, because the more you refine it, the higher your spec will be. Like I was talking about this before, you know? Like you have tier 4, tier 5, tier 6, 7, and 8, and so on. And I have no spec in tier 8 because I have not refined any, but I have some in tier 5 and tier 4, for example. And the more you have, more spec you have, the less focus you will need. Now, focus is really important because with focus, you can refine with a higher return rate, meaning more profit. But at the same time, you will not always have focus. And the way to obtain focus is either by completing these journal missions, which is not very reliable because not a lot of them give you focus, but premium. You can buy premium, and with premium you get 10,000 focus every single day, every 24 hours, but it also caps at 30,000, so you should never let it run after 30,000, meaning you should always refine before it is at 30,000. So, yes, okay. Focus refining and non-focus refining. Ideally, you always want to be refining with focus, but sometimes you will be refining without focus just to up your spec in certain tiers. So, let's just show us a quick example. And also, this is a Skinner backpack, which will reduce the weight of any tier 4 hide or lower, but you need to be able to gather hide to be able to equip this. It's not really important. What is important when it comes to my equipment is this pork pie, which will increase my max load because sometimes you have a lot of hide and you don't have a mount capable of carrying that much, so you can just eat this food. But what I want to do now is I will eat this salad in 7 seconds, because what this salad does is increases crafting speed. There's also other salads that increase crafting speed by a lot more, but they're also more expensive, and this is enough to prove my point. So what I will do now is what you will probably need to do, and that is crafting this letter. Tier 2 goes by really fast, and this is my point, resource return rate. You see, I put in 500, but I still have 185, because they're giving me 36.7%. If I used focus, they would give me way more, but I will not waste focus on tier 2. So I'll just finish doing this real quick. And there you go. You know, we had 500 hides, but we got at the end 796 letters. So you always need to keep that in mind. Now that is tier 2. And now we will go to tier 4.3. I will use focus on this. I'm just showing you, like from tier 2, then you go to tier 4, then to tier 4.1, 0.2 and something, but I don't want to show you all that. What I will do is I will show you a list on the screen right now of what items you will need to craft what tier and enchantment. I can just tell you right now, for tier 4, you will need one letter of the tier below and 2 heights of the tier you want to craft. That is for tier 4. For tier 5, you will always need one letter of the tier below and 3 heights. For tier 6 is 4 heights, 1 letter. Tier 7 is 5 heights, 1 letter. And tier 8 is also 5 heights, 1 letter. So I'll just show this right now. I'll do 4.3 because I'm keeping the 4.0 to prove a point after. I will just do this. Goes by really easy. As you can see with the focus, we're getting way more. Tier 6.1, this is gonna cost a lot of focus because I don't have specs. There you go. And this is also tier 7, just showing you how it goes. Now, what I want to also talk about is, this is really important because when it comes to tier 7.3 and above, for example, 7.3, 8.2, 8.3, you can also use these items called beast hearts to substitute one of your hides, and this should only be done when the beast heart is cheaper than one piece of hide. For example, for 7.3, I would either need 5 hides and 1 letter, or 4 hides, 1 letter and 1 beast heart. And since the beast heart, as you can see, is 51,000 compared to 78, it's cheaper to use the beast heart in this case, but you will need to find that out yourself. The more you do it, you will know what I'm talking about. So now, how do I calculate how much money I made? That is also really easy because we can have it here. Resource return rate. It really helps us because here it says estimated market value, and I'm pretty sure it went up by this small refining. So what I will do right now is, first of all, I just want to throw this just so we have even numbers. We had 100 letters, 200 hides. I will just refine this with focus, and I will show on the screen the formula that I'm using to calculate how much profit I made, but I will also just tell you right now. So let's just scrap this really quick. I mean refine. Sometimes I use those words by meaning the same thing. So we had 200 letters and 200 hides and 100 letter. But what I do is, as you can remember, it says here 53. It said 53.9 when using focus. So what I do is I do 100 minus 53.9, which gives me 46.1. Why do that? 100 is 100%, like all we put in is 100%, but they give us back 53.9%, meaning we only ever used 46.1%. So what I do is, hi, future me here. I just realized there's a way better way for me to do what I said that I want to do. So let me just put my headphones on. So anyway, as said in the video, I will just show you right now. I can buy tier 4 hide. I will need 200 pieces because I used 200 in that video, and let's just buy, let's find, okay, we buy 200 pieces for 17,000, okay? Keep that in mind. And we also buy tier 3 leather. We need tier 3, we need 100 pieces, and that's easy, that's gonna cost us 20,000, okay? So that's 37,000 total, and we will just quickly go to a tenner here, and I'm just showing you the way I do it. So yes, the way I do it, as you can see, we spent 37,000 for all of that, and I'm using the formula that I just explained. You see, 20,000 plus 17,000 gives us the 37, and then you do 37,000 divided by 100 times 46.1, or 37,000 times 0.461, and that is gonna give us 17,057. So with all this hide and all this leather, we will be able to refine around 215 pieces of tier 4 leather, and we will spend about 17,000, or to be more precise, 1757. And this formula works not only for tier 4 hide, for only tier 4 leather, it works for 4.1, 4.2, 6.3, 8.1, 8.4. Like, the formula is the same for literally every single thing. Just gotta keep in mind that you're using focus, so that's why you're doing 53.9. If you don't use focus, then you would have to change the number, but don't refine without focus. Just don't. You'll probably not make any money. So let's see actually how many pieces of leather we can make with this. And this also works for ore, fiber, and wood too, so it's not just a leather exclusive. Okay, we managed to get 216 pieces of leather. Now, as long as we can sell those 216 pieces of leather for more than 17,000, minus the market taxes, then we are in profit. And I'm just quickly going to the market, and hopefully it will be more, but refining with focus, it definitely should be more. And now, obviously, the higher the tier, the more the profit, but that's gonna come with time. There you go. As you can see, our 216 pieces of leather at the market price right now would sell for 46,449 minus the setup fee, which is here, minus this. So it will be around, let's say, 45,000. So all in all, we made a profit of 28,000, which is really low for the amount of focus we used, but hey, it's only a tier 4.0. You can't expect much. So yeah, that's it. Oh, and one more thing that might be worth mentioning before I forget is transmuting. Transmuting is in the second tab here, like this refining, this transmuting. And what transmuting allows you to do is basically you have a material, for example, let's say 4.1 hide, and what you can do is you can either enchant it to the level above, or you can enchant it to the tier above at a price. And where do I know the price? It says here. You can just open, scroll, the game is very intuitive, and let's say I want a 6.2 hide, for example, but I don't have it, but I have a 5.2. I can come here with my 5.2, pay this price, and I will get a 6.2 in return. Or I can do it, for example, with a 6.1, same thing, want a 6.2, don't have it, but I have a 6.1, pay the price there, and I will get a 6.2. Now, when is this profitable? When should you do it? This you should do, for example, in, let's say, this case, you have a 6.1 for which you paid, let's say, 2,800, and you also pay 6,794. Now, when those two numbers put together are lower than what it costs to buy a 6.2 hide at the market, then you should do it. If it's higher, then just buy it at the market, even though sometimes they might not be really readily available at all times. But yeah, I thought this was worth mentioning. But I ran the numbers before recording the video, and honestly, right now, there are some tiers that might be worth refining, but not a lot of them. So yeah, that was the last thing, and I think this is pretty much the end of this video. I know I yapped a lot, just yapping, but hopefully the numbers were useful to you. And yeah, if you made it to the end, yeah, I would really appreciate a like and subscribe even. And just any questions in the comments, I will just try my best to reply. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. And oh yes, check out maybe my stream. I'll link my Twitch in the description. I will start streaming like really soon. So if you want to drop by and say hi, that would really be appreciated. And thank you so much. And maybe I'll do a crafting tutorial soon. Maybe not. Depends on if you guys like this video. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I love you all. Bye bye now.